Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another week of What's Your Story, your midweek awesomeness, where we aim to share, empower, heal, and inspire. I hope you've been having an awesome week so far, and I hope it just gets better for you. My guest this morning is none other than the Educator Extraordinaire, this beautiful lady. Every time I see her, she gets younger and younger. I don't know what it is, but I'm about tempted to go down and see what's happening at her house because every time I see her, she gets younger and younger. But without further ado, I want to bring her on so she can, share her awesomeness with you guys. So without further ado, I bring to you Miss Jacqueline Makers Golden. Good morning, beautiful.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am super great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time this morning to grace us with your excellence. So I am very appreciative. I'm going to share also while we're doing this and give the people a few moments, just a few moments. But and I should have did this before I brought you on. However, What's Your Story is brought to you by Say Something, which is an online e-commerce store, and Say Something provides you with online, custom apparel and more, which allows you, inspires you, empowers you to, I don't know, I done messed that all up, but
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
to unapologetically and creatively say something. So check that out at saysomething.company.site. And also is sponsored by Kids Love Money. They just don't understand it, which you can find at kidslovemoney.shop. So since I've gotten that out the way, Miss Jacqueline Makins Golden, I will ask you to, what's your story?
Oh, wow. Where should I begin? My whole life is a story, God has just truly been good. And so it truly is a story. Every phase of my life have been a story. I can trace everything back, to the whole puzzle or the whole plan, that God has for my life and everything. And so each chapter, so I guess if my life was a book, each chapter would have some type of story to actually tell. And it would be many books, okay, because it just keeps going on. It's a journey. Life is a journey in everything. And so, I've had the wonderful opportunity to be, an entrepreneur, an educator, an author, and all those things, along with, a mother of four. And I thank God, for those four children that I have. Not that they have done everything right or anything, but I just thank God, for placing them, in my life, allowing me to be their parent and so on. And so, my story is this, is that life is precious. And it's whatever we make of it. We all have an opportunity to rise above whatever situations, circumstances that we may face, whatever challenges come our way. We have the ability within us to rise above it. And you often hear people talk about it takes faith or it takes other people. And that's true. I agree. It is my faith in God is the reason why I am where I am in life, and I'm truly enjoying it. Oh my goodness, I'm enjoying it. I often tell people is that I'm living a dream, and I'm living multiple dreams, and I'm living them in real color. So my life is a dream. And I thank God for the dreams that he have given me and has allowed me to see those dreams come to life.
Amen. Yes.
That's my story. So whichever way you want to go.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, and that's true. And I, kind of moved from my life being a book to my life being a library. Because if you think about it, every day is a different, could be multiple stories in the same day. But you think about your life as a
Yeah,
library, and I mean, you got good books, you got bad books, you got, in
yeah,
between, you got all of that in there. And I would say every day could be a book,
yes.
added to your library. So it's
That
life, but I mean, you're doing a thing. I see that. And for people who don't know, she is a continuing education provider for those in the cosmetology industry. So I know a lot of people that do hair, nails, things of that nature, barbers. So you need your credits every year. You gotta have your credits every year. That's one thing that's is certain. So, her online or her business is Premier Online Education. She is in South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and you have some more states coming, right?
well, we are in you hit on them, and Washington D.C. And yes, so we are looking at Florida and Texas. I tell you, it's an exciting time for us. So Premier Online Education is a business, just as Sharika has said, that we provide continuing education classes for licensed professionals, barbers, cosmetologists, nail tech, estheticians, educators. We have a whole RAM. And guess what? We're looking for you. If you have not had the Premier experience, then you have not had the experience yet. So we looking to branch this company all the way out. That's why I say I'm living a dream,
Mm-hmm.
and this dream that I'm living is a dream that is now a family owned business. So I don't own the business by myself anymore. I own the business with my sons.
Mm-hmm.
So they're my two oldest. And so we are partners now in this business because I had a dream that my children would work for my company, and
Okay.
so I get to live this dream here where they are my partners in the company. And so that's a beautiful thing in itself.
Absolutely.
It is hard
Yes.
work in between learning how to, for me, because I started the company. And so it's like
Mm-hmm.
your baby and you having to have to relinquish,
Right.
some of those responsibilities and different things, to other people, and trust that they would do the exact same thing that you would do, or they would do better, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
proud to say that they have taken on the vision and we're doing better with expanding into, other states and so on. So we absolutely love Premier. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's the top. So I'm going to say it's the top.
I know you
Continuing
have awesome
education
reviews. You
in
have awesome
South
reviews. So
Carolina.
y'all need to
We
check her
do.
out.
We
She
do.
is the educator extraordinaire, I'm trying to tell you.
I am educator extraordinaire. And along with that, what most people don't know is we have um, two certifying license that comes along what we do for the state of South Carolina, and that's
Mhm.
braiding course that is under the barbering board. We offer a certifying course for that, and we offer a certifying methods of teaching course for anyone in the state of South Carolina that is looking to become a teacher in a school district, in a private school, or in the public school system. And so, are on the college level, because there are cosmetology programs that are on the college level as well. So we
Mhm.
do the methods of teaching, and that program right there is the top, the top. We are the baddest when it comes to methods of teaching and everything. So that's just one of the things, that I do in this
Yes.
business here.
Yes, yes. And yeah, because you're also an author.
So I'm an author of a wonderful book, and this right here is a story to tell too. In that, I have been, there you go. You got your copy.
I
Yes. And I got my
did.
copy of your book as well. Super great. And so a story in that, sometimes some people are only fortunate enough to do one thing in life and be good at that one thing. But God has given me the gift to experience multiple things. And at first, I was kind of like questioning this thing. I'm like, I need to be able to stick with this hair and beauty thing that I've started out with, back in high school. So hair and beauty industry is not anything new to me. I've been in it for over 30 plus years, and it's been good to me as well. But to venture out into, hey, Connie the Coder, I can do anything, and that's the book. And also, too, there is a workbook. Okay. And there is a teacher's edition book to Connie the Coder. So, I'm an educator. I teach in the public school system here in South Carolina. Absolutely love it. I currently teach coding. Loving that. Well, that was a huge learning curve for me.
I bet.
Yes, well, it was something that I ran from. You know what I'm saying? I've been so used to doing the user end of the computer and teaching people how to be the user end of the computer, and then have to move to behind the scenes was a huge learning curve for me. And what came out of that, I did not know. I knew I would be an author one day, but I just didn't think it was going to be a children's book, Connie the Coder.
Yes. And see, and I've been kind of looking at coding too. So, I mean, I might have to, I have your book, but I might have to take an actual class with you so I can, to learn, because it is a learning curve. I mean, what is it, binary? I mean, it's, a bunch of numbers, and, it's
a bunch of numbers and letters. It depends on what direction that you're actually going in. And so the level that I actually teach is coding, HTML coding, and CSS coding. So that's what I teach on the high school level. So my students, when they finish, they have some coding skills, and I tell them, you can take this now new skill that you have and you can build upon it. And so it's about being able to build websites. So that's what HTML is all about, and CSS and Java. So we dive into a little bit of that, but pretty much it's HTML and CSS for
websites. Which is websites. Okay. Yeah. Because my purpose was to learn to create a game. So that is, that was my purpose for, kind of looking into it, because I want to create a game. And I said, well, I might need somebody who already know how to create a game. But
and that's another skill set.
It's a challenge, and it's something that, it's like, y'all, I'm kind of running from, but, I may end up, but I said, well, even if, going through the CSS and everything, that still gives you a foundation.
Right.
It gives you a foundation to build on.
Right. It's all about a foundation, and I keep hearing people screaming about, oh, well, what schools are doing. Lots of schools are doing a lot of things to help educate kids and to help move kids forward. The whole part of having coding in our school district in the state of South Carolina, which is now a mandatory. So students have to have a coding class, okay, in the state of South Carolina.
When I came through school.
Right. So, we're doing it, but it's up to the students to take that next interest and say, hey, you know what, this is a skill that I think I can build upon, and then take the next level class, because there is another advanced level class, and then it moves you more into computer science, which is a whole nother level. That's your binary, that's your algorithm, and all of that. So that's a whole nother teaching level. But what I like to tell kids is stop being scared of it being hard. It's going to be hard because you don't know anything. But once you begin to learn the basics and take your math and science serious, because you need the math, you need the algebra, because there is algebra when you get
Mm-hmm.
into the heavy computer programming and all
Mm-hmm.
of that, and it just helps you to advance those skills. So we have to tell our kids to stop being scared when something is hard. Instead of
Yes.
removing them out of the class, tell them no, you're
Make them stay.
staying and stick it
Yes.
out. If even if you make it D, okay, but at least you're learning something and you can
Yes.
move on to the next level.
Yes, don't allow them to give up so easily. And that's one thing, my
Right.
daughter did with my grandson, because he was like, with T-ball, he was like, oh, I don't want, I don't know anything. She was like, okay, you're not going to know because it's new. But if you want to get out of this, then I'm going to take you out of this also. So you need to know, if you don't want to do this, then you can't do that, either. So you want to think about it. And then he went on
Yes.
and he stayed in it and he got good at it.
That's what happens, right? That's what
you
needs to
keep you
happen,
keep
right?
going and you get good
Right.
at it. But a lot of times, even us, because
Right.
I'm guilty. Sometimes I'm like, oh God, that's too much. And when I, end up doing something else that was even harder, and it was, not as beneficial. But you learn,
You
you
learn.
learn.
You learn from it. Oh my God. It's a building block. That's why I always, talk to my kids and tell them, I said, look at this as a building block, as like
Mm-hmm.
Legos. You know what I'm saying? We are on a even foundation, everybody in this room. And even if you
Yes.
know more, and sometimes my kids, you'd be surprised at kids who have already been coding in their bedroom. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And they come already with some experience and they teach me.
Yes.
I am an educator, but I remain teachable, and
Remain a
I am
student.
not afraid of none of my students' skills because they help me out. I
Absolutely.
have coded wrong, and they'll come back. The advance will come back and say, "Oh, Miss Golden, that's not quite right." And I'm like, and I have to step back and look at it for myself, see where I went wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what, you are right. That was
Yeah.
wrong. And so I remain teachable. And I think that right there is important for anyone, especially if you're
Yes.
going to become an entrepreneur. If you're looking at entrepreneurship, you have to remain teachable, because a lot of times we are solo entrepreneurs and you're doing everything in the
Right.
business because you can't
Right.
quite afford folks to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And so on. I thank God that our business have moved forward where I don't do everything. We can afford to have people to
Come in and do stuff.
come
Right.
in and do stuff right. And while
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about entrepreneurship, I want to tell everybody the two things that you definitely want to have. You want to have a good accountant and you want to have a good attorney, a business attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things are vital to your business. That's where you want to put your money first. Put your money in those two, and that will help run your business smoothly. You got to deal with that
Mm-hmm.
money, and you got to do with it being set up legally right.
Right. Right. Right. Absolutely. Well, let
Yeah.
me ask you, how did you go from the hair, the beauty industry to coding? Like, what made you say, okay, you know what, I'm doing this? Because I know you said you were running from it, but then what made you think about it to even get into it?
So I told you everything is a story, right? So I've been in the hair and beauty industry over 30 years. I started doing hair at 18, working in a
Mm-hmm.
salon at 18 in various salons. But deep down inside, I always wanted to go to college. I always wanted to go to college, get a degree, and all of that. So kind of like fast forward a little bit, I got married, started school, and started
Mm-hmm.
working on my bachelor's degree, married with two kids at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and finished that up, went back to school to get a master's degree in in business and management and HR and so on. So I have a double master's degree. And so in the process of that, my heart has always been in the heart in the hair and beauty industry. So
Mm-hmm.
as I was working, and I thought I was in my dream job, Sheila. I'm calling you Sharika. I thought I was in my dream job, wasn't going anywhere, working for a local community college and everything going great. And then I started getting the entrepreneur bug because I come from educators and entrepreneurs. And what I didn't realize was because it not big talk like it is now, when you are a hairstylist, you are an entrepreneur.
You an
You are
entrepreneur,
the
exactly.
responsible person. And I did not quite understand all of that in my young years, what I truly had. But anyway, it
Yes.
set me up for where I am. So
Mm-hmm.
while I'm working my dream job, things happen, become dissatisfied. And I said, you know what? I can't work anybody's business. I need to be on my own. Okay. I need to be my
Mm-hmm.
own boss. And I was supervising an area, had folks under me and so on. And so started thinking about which way I would go. And at the time, and which is still now huge in big business, is I opened up a professional testing center. So what that
Mm-hmm.
is that we proctor test
Mm-hmm.
for different colleges and universities. And then I got a government contract, which was so good. Okay, this is 2007. And so I'm working towards this, doing, fairly good. Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
then I said, well, you know what? I had prayed and I said, God, give me another witty idea. And so continuing education, I had become so dissatisfied with continuing education until I stopped because I said, well, I don't need to do this no more. And then the witty idea came and said, hey, how about start your own? And I'm like, okay. So back in my dream job, I learned
Mm-hmm.
how to read local, state, and federal rules and regulations.
Regulations. Oh,
Okay, that
yes.
right there is huge. That's
It is.
mega right there. Okay, so if anybody out there you listening and you want to know, go and look at your local, your state, and your federal regulation. That right there is huge. So that's what I did. I went and I looked under the state regulations for becoming a continuing ed provider, because what I found out when I read the rules and regulations, that they had automatically adopted 5 associations into law.
Hmm.
Those 5 associations would never be able to be removed. There's about 5 or 6
Wow.
of them. I forgot how many. Because it's law.
Yes.
In order to
Yes.
remove
Well,
them, you got to go
you
back and
gotta
change the law.
change the
So
law.
then
Exactly.
those 5 groups were like, okay, they ran
Yeah.
everything, and then
Mm-hmm.
probably about another 10, they ran everything and all. But if I was to tell you what I had to go through to become a provider, let me tell you something. Being an entrepreneur is not for the weak. You have to get in. I had to write, ended up having to have to write my local senator because they were trying to block me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
black owned. I'm the first
First.
black owned in the upstate of South Carolina. Black owned, no middleman. Okay. Now there's been folks who did continuing ed, but they had to go through the middleman. They had to go through one
Mm-hmm.
of them top tens. Okay.
Right.
No, I'm the first. I'm the first to offer. I'm the first African American to do the Methods of Teaching certified course for the state of South Carolina. We're the first to offer the braiding course in the state of South Carolina. So we are the first in many things. And what I
Mm-hmm.
didn't say is that at first I started off as South Carolina Professional Barbers and Cosmetology Association. And I knew from my computer background that eventually online was the way to go. So when I started
Yes.
Premier, it was all about going online. And
Going online.
so I started looking at systems to go online. I
Mm-hmm.
worked for 1 year to perfect my online system and in everything before I actually went on online. So
Yes.
I was the first African American to offer online classes in the
Yes.
state of South Carolina. So, it's been a journey. So let's get to teaching. So I went through a divorce, right? And for a moment, I didn't do anything. My goal was to take care of my family. And
Right.
so in the process, over about 3 years, and I started praying. I said, well, Lord, I'm about ready to go back. I think everybody is okay. But I
Mm-hmm.
did not want to do nobody 9 to 5. And I said,
Yeah.
I want to be in education, in which, I still had my
You
my business. Okay.
right.
So still
Mm-hmm.
doing continuing ed. And so I became certified in the state of South Carolina as a business and computer educator. It took me 2 years to do it. And
Okay.
the rest is history. The state of South Carolina moved us towards coding, and it was almost like a fit for me. But I ran from teaching the actual coding class and learning coding. So then when it was like, okay, you're going to be teaching coding, that's when I had to truly dive in, start learning it, and different things like that. And I am still learning. This thing is
Yeah.
huge. But, if
Yeah.
you want to know where the money is, the money is in computers. The money is
Mm-hmm.
in the medical field. The money is in
Yes.
the education field.
Yes.
Just look around. See what was happening during the pandemic. See what
Yeah,
was not
exactly.
shut down. Those are the things that was going to continue to go on.
Yeah, and moving forward, with kids, I mean, we're going STEM. That's the STEAM or STEM, because some people include art in that. Which is
Right.
the science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, is really important for kids because that's what the world is going to. I mean, we're in the technology age. It's not going to go backwards. We're only going forward. So they need to be learning this coding and things because those things are just going to be basic by the time they get, a little older. That's just gonna be like learning your ABCs, basically.
It's exactly. And so that's the whole premise around Cunny, the coder, is that, this is written on an elementary level. It does
Mm-hmm.
move from elementary to rigor. And, my goal is to have Cunny in all states and all libraries and school districts and everywhere, because that's where it starts. We need to be teaching some of the basics of the coding in
Mm-hmm.
elementary instead of in middle school, I mean, in
Right.
high school,
High
because by the
school.
time they get to high school, they done kind of like faded
Eh,
away and they don't,
yeah,
So we start them at the basic level and teaching some of the language. Just think about it. Coding is just a language. And
it
just
is.
like we're speaking English now, coding is its own
Same.
language too.
Yes.
And if you start talking about binary numbers, you start talking about an algorithm. What is an
Yeah.
algorithm? What does that look like? You start talking HTML to your students and stuff on an elementary level. You start showing them the different setups of codes and what they do on an
Mm-hmm.
elementary level. Then you build them for middle school. And then when they get to high school, you have that group that is truly interested in it, and you can run with it. So the
Yeah.
state of South Carolina, the coding level here is so low. That's why they moved to make it mandatory that students have some knowledge of it before they graduate high school. Because in the state of South Carolina, what most people don't know is that when Bowen came to the state of South Carolina, they actually had to transplant all the people in because the education was so low. They didn't have people who had higher education that they could put in those higher positions. Okay.
Yeah.
So they had to transplant all these people in from the state of South Carolina. And you just look at that and you're like, oh my God, all those high paying jobs,
And
uh,
no one. Yeah.
80% of them went to people who don't even live in South Carolina. They had to bring them here.
Right. And I'm from Lancaster. So we're not far from. Yeah. Yes, about your fellow South Carolinian. But so there's not, the same thing with them. They were talking about bringing jobs, and they talk about the education level and things of that nature. So that's why a lot of things haven't really came into there or made it there. And then when they do, a lot of times they hire people from other places instead of that place. But Yeah, this has been, you've been the first. I want to congratulate you because you've been the first in a lot of things, a lot of awesome things, record breaking things. And, I
Yeah.
salute you, Mama, because she
Oh,
is an
thank
educator
you.
extraordinaire, honey. So, if you're in the cosmetology industry, you're interested in coding, just check her out because she has some great things going on. You have a small one, get the book for them, let them get them acclimated and learning about some coding because they're going to need it later. But is there anything else you want to leave the people with before we wrap this up?
Yeah, so if you are interested in getting a book, Connie the Coder, feel free, hit me up on Facebook. I am Jacqueline Makins Golden. Just send me a message and let me know that you want to order a book because I'm currently having to have to revamp the website and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. So it will be easier to just make a purchase. Just hit me up on Facebook if you want to make a purchase. And Connie the Coder does have her on Facebook page. It's called Connie the Coder. And so on, if you want to go and look at that page and see the different things that we have done. I will say I haven't done anything this year with Connie. uh, this year was all about me. I
Yes.
needed a break after writing her last
Mm-hmm.
year and running real hard with her last year and everything. So I look forward to some upcoming things later
Yes.
this year or, in 2022.
2020.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah. And I
Well,
want to
thank
say
you.
thank you for having
Yes.
me, Sharika. I
My
greatly
pleasure.
appreciate it. And
My
I've enjoyed
pleasure.
it.
Yes, I have enjoyed you too. I want to put you in the green room and I'll be right back with you, okay?
Okay.
Wrap this up. All right, guys, I thank you all for joining us, or for those who will see us later or watch this later. This has been What's Your Story? My wonderful guest today has been Jacqueline Makins Golden. Her information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Her premier online education, if you are a licensed, hair care professional or looking to become a braider or whatever, she can help you with that. If you're looking to purchase her book, Connie the Coder, I Can Do Anything, hit her up on Facebook. Her website is also scrolling along the bottom. But again, my name is Shanrika Crawford Benjamin. This has been What's Your Story, where we aim to share, empower, heal, and inspire. And I thank you all, and I wish you all an awesome rest of your week. Goodbye.